Hi guys, welcome to my YouTube channel. Over here, I read anonymous stories online. So if you like listening to anonymous stories, please do not forget to like, comment, and subscribe for more. So back in uni, I met a friend from JHS who was looking for accommodation. I had a bed and we were quite close then, just that life happens sometimes and you end up cutting ties with people without even knowing. We decided to catch up as friends as I helped her look for a place. We got some options, but she couldn't afford. The following week or so, she had something to do urgently on campus, so she has to fetch me. It became a normal thing, just that sometimes she would go home. One day I realized it wasn't just home she goes to cause she comes back with a lot of nice clothes and food. And it wasn't homemade food too. So I got curious and started observing her. She usually had a lot of money anytime she came back. Not that I was jealous, but she didn't look like she did hook up either. So I mistakenly went through her phone one day. You mistakenly went through the phone and found out it was this rich boyfriend she had. I stole the number and started investigating the guy for no reason. We became online best friends but never met in person. By the time we completed uni, my old friend had broken up with the guy twice, but they came back. Note that I had no hand in the breakup. The guy asked me out and I said yes. We've dated for almost 3 years now and preparing for marriage. How do I tell my JHS mate this? We've been in touch so I can't hide it, but I also don't want to hurt her too. You decided to hurt her the first day you decided you needed to take the guy's number. And I'm sure you are part of the reason why it didn't work out. You're a very wicked person. And not saying, but as you've done onto another person, just imagine that it can also be done onto you. Who knows? Your nephew or your cousin will also take the number like you stole it and do onto you as you've done. That's very reckless. You knew what you were doing from the get-go and you intentionally hurt the feelings of your friend. You are not even a friend, you are an enemy. Low-key. You're a terrible person and you should be ashamed of yourself. You are not sorry. You've done it, but you don't want her to see you some way. She will see you some way because you are some way weirdo. My boyfriend wants us to do a fifth abortion. I am tired of us getting rid of their babies. I want us to give birth now, but he said he's not ready. Somebody said, why don't you use condom? And she said, he says if he uses it, he doesn't feel anything. And she's 21 years old though. He has bought me a promise ring. And somebody said some ladies have been wearing promise ring more than 8 years, which is true. And then she said, but he loves me, oh, he does everything for me. He has money too. I don't see why he's saying he's not ready. Because maybe he doesn't like you, Sha. He doesn't like you. Somebody says, but you can get family planning. And she said, I wanted to, but I realized it had disadvantages, so I didn't do it again. Somebody now said that, but abortion has more disadvantages. You couldn't get post pills. He can't pull out. Sister, how old are you? Is sex a fun activity to you? She's saying, I'm confused now. I want to tell my parents and cut him off and give birth and take care of the baby on my own with the help of my parents. That's very disappointing to hear because why do you take pride in becoming a baby mama? It doesn't make sense. If you want to have a child, you should make sure that you are financially stable and capable so that even when the person is not being there for you like he is right now, he doesn't give regards to your health, your well-being. If anything should happen, he doesn't care and you are still there. Have they tied your neck? Are you a goat? Like, it's not insult. Like, why have they tied your neck to a tree or to him that you cannot leave? They've been doing this to you. You don't have common sense. Charlie. I met the father of my children when I was 17. I had just completed SHS in my village and he was a spare parts dealer at Abose Okai. He did come to my village and I did say he was instrumental in my life and that of my family. I told him I wanted to come to Accra and work and he arranged that. He brought me to Accra and we started living together. Life wasn't lavish, but it was good. He helped establish me in the food business. I saved from the money I made and did a year short course in infant learning and teaching. Right after that, my partner's business collapsed. He fell flat and the whole responsibility of running the home fell on me. It didn't bother me because I know he wasn't lazy. Situation had happened, so holding the fort for a while wasn't going to be a problem for me. Then I fell pregnant. I was almost 20 by then. Same time, our rent expired and we had to leave. Something had to be done. I cleared all my savings to pay the rent. I went to a school in my neighborhood and pleaded with the headmistress to give me the feeding contract. When she found out I had a certain infant teaching, she decided to employ me as a teacher instead. She also allowed me to sell food on the school compound as well. Then I gave birth. I needed to see my partner back on his feet, so I went to my hometown and spoke to my mom to give me my share of the cocoa proceeds. My mom decided to give me all as a way of supporting our small family. The entire money was 12,000. I came back and gave everything to my partner, encouraged him to start his own dealings. He was working for someone initially. The next proceeds from the cocoa sale was also given to us by my mom. This time, she gave us 8,000. I took 2,000 out and gave 5,000 to my partner. He started his business solely and it started flourishing. Life got back on track. As a young lady and ready to work life with my partner, I would give him my monthly salary so he can run the house. I got pregnant again. My first child was about 5 by then. Because I worked in a school, my children attended my school. We didn't pay school fees. My partner was able to get his own land, establish his business, had workers under him, and bought 2 plots of land and started building. When he told me he was building, I was so happy for him. He promised to marry me officially after completing the building. I went to my mom again and pleaded with her to help us in building the house. She told me the money was for my siblings. My siblings stayed in the village and helped with the farming. She told me if I could convince my siblings. She did give me the money. My elder sister agreed and told my mom to give me 5,000 from her share. My mom also added 3,000 to it. I added my 1,500 from my savings and gave it to my partner to help in building. We were able to build our own 4-bedroom house. He wanted us to have another child. He wanted us to have our last born, and I told him to marry me first because I wanted my last born to be at least be a product of marriage. It did give me so much joy. He agreed and told me to start preparing for our marriage. I bought the kente we did use and was paying it gradually. He also bought his first pickup and came to collect the list for my hand in marriage. Then my partner changed. He stopped coming home. He was mostly away. He would come late. He did be reeking of alcohol. He was always attending funerals, and one of his friends told me he does a lot of show at these funerals. He stopped discussing his plans with me, and as for the marriage issue, dear, we stopped having it. He wasn't also becoming consistent in giving housekeeping money. Sometimes he gave, other times he didn't. I started suspecting the existence of another woman, and it started making me bitter. I started nagging and demanding for answers. This caused a rift in our relationship. We started fighting almost all the time. I knew there was another woman and I wanted to know who it was. He grew distant and distant. My mother advised me to calm down and stop attacking him. I calmed down and stopped attacking him. He wasn't even minding me again. Then a lady in my neighborhood approached me one day and told me she knew where my partner's side chick lived. My son had already told me he knew that woman, and I told him to shut up because according to him, he eavesdropped on his father's conversation with the woman. He even mentioned the name. I told him never to involve himself in our issues. I knew my son was hurt, but I didn't want to involve him. He was becoming a teenager, and I feared the impact it did have on him. My whistleblower showed me the side chick. Apparently, she was a single mom, and my partner had rented an apartment for her, opened a shop for her, and was paying her child's fees. Paying the fees of another woman's child when you don't even pay the fees of your own children was insane to me. I attacked him. He told me I was foolish to think he did marry me after 2 children. He said there is nothing new he was going to see after marriage. He told me to compare myself to his side chick and see if she's my class. He said he can't take me anywhere because I am basic and simple, but he takes that lady anywhere he gets fans. He told me if I felt I couldn't stay with him, I could leave his his house, I attacked him and he beat me up. I couldn't go to work for almost a week. I was broken, devastated, and sad. I wanted to end my life, but for the sake of my children, my son was in school by then. He was in Pope John's Form 3, so he didn't witness the incident. My daughter, however, did. I remember her crying that night as well. She called her brother in school and told him what had happened. My son came home from school immediately, even informing me he wanted answers, and I couldn't lie to him. I broke down. I was crying. He wanted to go to his father's workplace and confront him, but I told him not to. That night, he confronted him when he came home. His father beat him up for challenging him and came at me for being the one who has fueled the ego of my son. He once again insulted me to the core. The next day, I told my boy to go to school and not come back again until he was done. I agreed that I had lost and had to move on. I went to my headmistress and narrated the issue to her. She told me to get a place because once he started beating me, it wouldn't end. She helped me get a place. It was a chamber and hall. When I told him I was leaving, he told me to take my daughter with me, and I did. I went to the village and had to tell my mother. My mother cried. I had never seen her like that before. The old lady gave me 4,000 and that was all she had. Galamsey activities had destroyed the cocoa loads, so produce were less that year. I took and came back to Accra. I had to be strong because of my children. I told my pastor and he gave me the money to enroll in a catering school. When I was done, he also gave me money to buy the equipment and started giving me church catering contracts. My son completed and came home. I wanted him to stay with his father. I didn't want enmity between us, but he refused and came to me instead. My headmistress gave him a class to teach as he waited his results. His father also said he wouldn't live with him. He wouldn't pay university fees. My son wasn't even perturbed. He wanted nothing to do with the man. His results came out. He wanted to work for a year, raise money before continuing. Now I had 2 major jobs. I was getting catering contracts and hired 4 girls to assist me. My son is currently in 2nd year at UPSA and the girl is at Ebru Girls. I have managed to rent a 2-bedroom apartment now. I share a room with the girl and my boy has his own room. I am now able to send monthly allowance to my mother in the village. Life isn't where I want it to be, but I'm glad it didn't end when I thought it would. My only problem is my children's refusal to be a part of their father's life. They don't want to see him. They don't want to visit him. They don't want to even know his whereabouts. I don't want someone to say I have poisoned their minds against him. I pray God gives them a forgiving spirit. I tell them to forgive not because they want his help, but because of their mental health. My daughter even says when she's getting married, she wouldn't want him around. It worries me. Why should it worry you? He chose his path. And now he's working on it. Apparently, from what you are even saying, he doesn't even care because he's not even concerned. So why are you concerned? You cannot understand you. By the grace of God, everything is fine. You know, God has been there. So forget about him and cut him off and keep on living your life. God no go shame us. This is the perfect depiction of that. He thought you will break down from all of that, but you've conquered, and this is what we love to hear. And you are such a courageous woman, and may God continue to bless you. I am 24 and my girlfriend is 31 years of age. I have a year more to complete university and we've been dating for about 2 years. This man is asking me, the student, to marry her right now, and I'm confused because she says she's growing and her age mates are all married and she's not, so I should come see her parents. Meanwhile, I'm not even ready for that. Charlie, as I'm speaking now, she's not talking to me because one of the ladies in her circle will get married this month and I said I wasn't ready. To be honest, I've called her severally and she's not picking, and finally feel like moving on. I hope I'm not doing the wrong thing. What's the age difference? 24 and she's 31. You're not ready and she's ready. I think both of you, your priorities are different and she's looking for something that you cannot give her. It's good you've communicated and it's up to her to stay or to leave. But at the end of the day, you are not stringing her along and you've told her exactly how you feel, and that's what's important, right? So I've come to the end of today's video. I hope it was fun. I know I went ghost for a minute, but I'm back and better, and I hope to post videos twice weekly. Yeah, twice weekly on YouTube and every single day on TikTok if I can, but I'll keep up. I'll do that. I'll post twice weekly, okay? And then thank you so very much for watching. Please do not forget to leave a comment. Today's stories were very interesting, so please do not forget to leave a comment, like this video, subscribe, and thank you for watching. See you in my next video.